Hi everyone. I will talk about Robert Putnam's book, which named Making Democracy Work, Civic Tradition in Modern Italy. The main aim of this book is to answer the question, what are the conditions for creating strong, responsive, effective, representative institutions? Uh, his focus is on a unique experiment which is begun in 1917 when Italy created new governments in such fields as agricultural, housing, and health service. He revealed patterns of associationism, trust, and corporations that facilitate good governance and economic prosperity. This book consists of six chapters, and each chapter begins with a question and ends with the answer. I will explain each chapter and what each chapter is about. Putnam emphasized the role of cultural factors in shaping the quality of institutional performance. He undertakes a historical analysis that begins in the medieval period and supports his theoretical ideas with both quantitative and statistical data, uh, which he gathered during 23 years and again theoretical analysis. His historical analysis starts on chapter 2, and in this chapter, he asks questions uh, how the process of reform transpired and what difference it made for the practice of politics and the quality of government and the quality of government and tries to answer the questions on how the process of introducing regional governments arose and how these institutions developed over 20 years and what were the implications on Italian politics and government. After 1917, reforms were undertaken, and to study the effect, Putnam begins with the analysis of the political elite, which is an important element to understand institutional change. The new regional councils were well educated men with political experience but modest origins. Their ability led to the gradual replacement of the province by the region. Councils saw the occupation as a full-time job, and the approach to politics became more practical and less ideological. Parties became more tolerant with each other because their views were less and less extreme. And then power started growing. Regional interests were protected when they contrasted national directives. However, the relationship between the local and central authorities improved. The growing importance of regions is testified by the fact that the average councillor start meeting with the representatives of regions more and more often during the decides. Despite the energetic attempts in the field of regional planning, councillors reported dissatisfaction with the effect of the effort and the initial enthusiasm declined. In this time, bureaucracy was slow, regional administrators inefficient, and project unfeasible. The major problem in the administration was caused by the regional employees. To hire them, the criterion was that of clientelism rather than experience. The performance of regions had a large margin of improvement. Nevertheless, voters were less satisfied with national than regional government. There were sharp differences in voter satisfaction between the northern and the southern regions. Most citizens in the north were satisfied with the regional government, but none of the southern regions was able to achieve this result. Okay, in chapter 3, he tries to present a comprehensive comparative evaluation of policy process, policy pronouncements, and policy implementation in each of the 20 regions. And uh, and this chapter starts with the question, do some regional governments show systematically a better performance than others? Um, to answer this question, uh, he he first evaluated institutional success. There was two important elements. The first one is responsiveness of the government to the needs of the citizens, and it is efficiency. Putnam tries to find a measurement of governance performance that is comprehensive, meaning that it should take into account all the activities a government has to carry out and all the fields in which it operates. Eternally consistent, meaning that it has to find coherence in the measurements of the various activities. Reliably, uh, reliably, meaning that it should be consistent over time, must correspond to the objectives and evaluations of the protagonist and the constituents, meaning that it must be in line with standards of the constitutions to measure government effectiveness. Putnam used 12 indicators such as cabinet stability, budget promptness, statistical and informative service, reform legislation, legislative innovation, daycare centers, family clinics, industrial policy instruments, agricultural spending capacity, uh, local health unique expeditors, housing and urban development, and bureaucratic responsiveness. He finds consistency among the results given by these 12 indicators and consistency over time. And he concludes that some regions have performed consistently better than others over more than decide, even though regions were given identical financial resources and structures. He noticed that the latitude and performance are strongly related, even though it is not perfect. The group of regions in the northern performs better than southern ones. Putnam then tries to see if the views of the citizens corresponded to the findings that could be drawn from his measurement. And for this, he asked questions from Italians how satisfied or unsatisfied are they unsatisfied are they with the way in which this region is governed. And he finds that the surveys are concordant with his measurement. Italians in the regions were the 12 with the 12 indicators predicted a good governance performance are satisfied, while citizens in the regions that he predicted to have a low performance are not satisfied. In chapter 4, he asks what explains these differences in institutional performance, and what is it the differences the successful regions in the north from the unsuccessful ones in the south, and the more from the less successful within each section. He focused on two possible explanations. The first is related to socioeconomic modernity, the second related to civic community. Socioeconomic modernity deals with the Industrial Revolution and its consequences. The north of Italy is much more advanced than the south and regressing economic modernity. To explain performance gives a high correlation. Regions are divided into two different groups, like the group of the north and the one of the south. However, differences in performance with each group are not explained by economic development, and regions were endowed with financial resources that favored poor regions by the central government. Also, it is not clear if it is economic modernity that influence performance, if it is the contrary, or if a third factor is a cause of both of them. In chapter 5, Putnam starts with the question why some regions are more civic than others. Putnam begins a voyage from the medieval era when Italy created politically advanced structures, when two contrasting and innovative regimes were established in different parts of Italy, a powerful monarchy in the south and a remarkable set of communal republics in the central and north. From this early medieval era through the uh, unification of Italy in the 19th century, it traced systematic regional differences in patterns of civic involvement and social solidarity. These traditions have decisive consequences for the quality of life, public and private, in Italy's regions today. Um, the last one is chapter 6, begins with Putnam question again, and he asks why the past is so powerful. He develops an answer using the means of game theory and the ideas of social capital. Putnam emphasized the social context in which the game is played. He states that uh, social capital intended as a level of trust, the norms and the networks in a society is the solution to overcome the collective action problem. To support his idea, he used the example of rotating credit associations, which are groups where people agree to make regular contributions to fund which is given in whole or in part to each contributor in rotation. Um, Putnam concludes his analysis of civic community and institutional performance by transposing his explanation in game theoretic form. Uh, More specifically, he identifies the problem of effective government as a dilemma of collective action. Nevertheless, he notes traditional game theory unpredicted voluntary cooperation. The solution, Putnam content, lies in the use of soft solution to the analysis of collective action problems, namely community and trust. This soft solution attributes the achievement of stable corporative equilibrium or effective governance to the existence of egalitarian social networks which allow trust to become transitive and spread. The possibility for cooperation is enhanced by embedding the game within an enduring civic community. Accordingly, iteration and enforcement should enhance opportunities for collective action. Putnam locates these very properties in the concept of social capital. Features of social organizations such as trust, norms, and networks that can improve the efficiency of society by facilitating coordinated actions. Um, this was my book review. Thank you for your attention.